En wedge. UER. En wedge. EU refer. Add DIOS. En wedge. Add DIOS. Add DIOS. En wedge. UER. En wedge. Add DIOS. En wedge. Ia at you. Add DIOS. En wedge. Ia at you.
Ha caído un héroe.
Into you. Ia at you.
Into you. Image rec. Io refer you.
Into you.
Gereg. Ak.
In wedge. Arc.
Into you. Into you.
Tayo. Gro en Yawet.
Ha caído un héroe.
Greg. Gro ia tawit.
NUER. EU refer. Into you. Gereg. Into you. Into you.
Finito. UIR.
Gereg. Into you. Add you. En wedge. Gereg. EU refer.
Finito. Tayo.
Gereg. EU refer. EU refer. UER. Into you. Into you. IAR rechter. Gerrig. Ia rechte. Into you. And you refer. You eat into you. Into you. You eat air. You eat air. And wedge into you. EU refer. EU refer. Into you. UER. EU refer. Gerrig. UER.
Finito. EU refer.
Into you. EU refer. Enway. Into you. EU refer. Enway. Into you. Into you. Ia at you. Into you. Into you. Into you. Into you. N wedge. Ia at you. UER. N wedge. N wedge. UER. UER. Gerrig. Into you. EU refer. Gerrig. Into you. Into you. UER. Ia rechte. Into you. UER. UER.
Finito.
N wedge. UER.
Finito.
Into you. EU refer. UER. EU refer. Into you. Into you. EU refer. N wedge. UER.
Inage reg. Tayu.
Girej.
Gerrig. EU refer. UER. Into you. N wedge. Into you. Into you.
Finito. Finito.
Gerrig.
In wedge.
In wedge.
Girej.
In wedge. UER. UER. Tayu.
N wedge. Into you.
Gerrig.
Alejandra, hemos
IRR.
preparado un transporte.
Empléalo para infiltrarte en la prisión.
UER.
Into you. En wedge. EU refer. Gerrig. Gerrig. Into you. Gerrig. UER. Into you. Into you. Into you. EU refer. Gerrig. En wedge. Into you. Gerrig. UER. Into you. Into you. En wedge. Into you.
Grig.
En wedge. En wedge. Gerrig. Into you. En wedge. Into you. En wedge. Gerrig. En wedge. Into you.
And UIR. Enito. Refer.
Into you. Into you. Into you. EU refer. En wedge. Gerrig. En wedge. UER. Gerrig. En wedge. Gerrig. Gerrig. Into you. Into you. Into you. Gerrig. Into you. En wedge.
Enito. Tayo.
Gerrig. En wedge. N wedge. Into you. N wedge. Gerrig. Into you. Gerrig. N wedge. Into you. N wedge. Into you. Into you. N wedge. N wedge. Into you. N wedge. Into you. N wedge. You refer. You refer. Into you. N wedge. N wedge. You refer. N wedge. N wedge. UER. N wedge. N wedge. UER. UER. You refer. N wedge. N wedge. Into you. Gerrig. Into you. N wedge. Gerrig. N wedge. Into you. N wedge. N wedge. UER. Into you. Into you. Gerrig. 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 N wedge. Gerrig. Into you. N wedge. N wedge. N wedge.
In wedge.
N wedge. Into you. Gerrig. Gerrig. Into you. Into you. Gerrig. N wedge. Gerrig. You refer. Into you. N wedge. Gerrig.
In wedge.
Into you. Into you. You refer. UER. You refer. N wedge. Into you. Into you. N wedge. Into you. en wedge. Into you, en wedge.
In wedge. UER. In wedge.
Entonces, Sedna, ¿todos los demás sacerdotes de Osiris fueron encarcelados?
Algunos de ellos murieron en el desierto.
Pero, ¿por qué quiere matar a Osiris?
¿Entonces es cierto que no lo sabes?
Parece como si siempre te ocultaras de mí, Cíclope.
Me interrumpiste en Grecia, escapaste del inframundo y llegaste aquí antes que yo. Es imposible que lo hicieras tú solo. Averiguaré qué dioses te protegen. Ahora.
El gran Poseidón vela por los habitantes de la Atlántida.
¡Gran Poseidón! ¡Así es! Eres más estúpido de lo que pensaba. Veamos si te está protegiendo ahora.
Tendrás menos ganas de luchar cuando te corte la cabeza.
Me ocuparé de vosotros a su debido tiempo. Tenemos asuntos más urgentes que atender en la pirámide de Osiris.
Debemos recuperar la reliquia de Osiris antes de marcharnos.
Tenemos que darnos prisa. Gargarensis y Kensit pronto tendrán listas sus tropas.
Aún tenemos algunos aliados aquí. No todos se han convertido en adoradores de Set.
Sí, tengo amigos aquí. Nos ayudarán.
He conseguido transportes para que nos recojan en la prisión. Nos quedaremos aquí hasta que lleguen.
In wedge. At you. In edge. Erek. ER.